In Nayo village, life moved like the slow river. Boys grew up to be farmers, fishermen, or carpenters, just like their fathers. The girls, after secondary school, would marry young and start families, cooking and caring for their children. The people of Nayo didn't know about university. It was like a dream they had never heard of. To them, education ended after secondary school, and that was enough. Parents were happy as long as their children could read and write. They didn't ask for more because they didn't know more. Life in the village was steady, like the sun rising and setting every day. This was how it had always been, how it was for years. But something was coming, something that would shake the quiet life of Dumo. A change was in the air, like a storm about to roll in. The village didn't know it yet, but life would never be the same again. One bright sunny day, Nayo village buzzed with excitement. From far away, a group of city students came for an excursion. They arrived with big smiles, fancy clothes, and shiny shoes. The villagers had never seen anything like it. The students walked tall, holding their books in one hand and talking about life in the city. Their words sounded like music to the villagers' ears. "Look at how they walk," the villagers whispered. "Look at how they talk." The students showed them many strange and interesting things. They talked about the big machines they used in the city, machines that could build houses and make farming easier. They showed the villagers how they studied with the help of those machines. Everyone's eyes were wide with wonder. The chief, standing tall with his walking stick, couldn't believe it. He looked at the students and said to himself, "This is how our children should be." The whole village was thinking the same thing. For the first time ever, the idea of sending their own children to the city for university crossed their minds. The city students stayed for only a short time, but they left something behind. Hope. The villagers now dreamed of a future where their children would go beyond the village, beyond secondary school, and reach for something greater. They wanted their children to wear fancy clothes, walk tall, and become wise, just like those city students. The villagers gathered under the big Odam tree to talk about these new dreams of theirs. The men rubbed their chins, the women whispered to each other, and the children sat close, listening, wide-eyed. They all agreed one child must go to the city and learn the ways of the world. But how would it be? They looked around, think hard, then someone spoke up and the others nodded. For everyone knew Amara was no ordinary girl. Her beauty was like the sun shining after rain, bright and pure. She was clever too, with quick eyes that noticed everything. She was kind, always helping her mother, always laughing, always making the elders smile. "Yes, Amara," they said, their voices growing stronger. "She will be the one to make Duo proud." So the villagers gathered their gift for Amara's journey. The women packed food, dried yams, ground pepper, a little palm oil. The men pulled with what little money they had, every kobo they could spare, and like a river flowing with love, they showered her with blessings. The old women placed their hands on her head, whispering words of strength and protection, filling her heart with courage. "Go, Amara," they said. "Remember us and make us proud." With a heart full of hopes and dreams for the whole village, Amara left Nayo, her small bag clutched tightly, her mind buzzing with thoughts of the city. As she walked away, the villagers watched, weeping tears from their eyes, sending her off with all their dreams riding on her small shoulders. When Amara stepped into the city, it was as if she had entered a whole new world. Buildings stood tall like giant trees, cars whisked by like birds, and the streets were full of people, each with their own path and purpose. Amara's eyes were wide with wonder and her heart beat with both excitement and fear. School was a strange place at first, but Amara was quick to learn. She studied hard, always raising her hand, always listening carefully. Soon, her teachers noticed her bright mind and her classmates saw her kind smile. She wasn't just a girl from a faraway village. She became their friend. Amara met a girl named Lena, who became her best friend. Lena knew every corner of the city and showed Amara the way around. She taught her which paths to take, which food to eat, and even how to avoid the city's many dangers. With Lena by her side, Amara felt a little more at ease. But life in the city was not easy. The money Amara's village sent was little, just enough to buy a few things. Some days she went to bed with a rumbling stomach. Her mind drifts back to Nayo, where her family and the village had given all they could to support her. I must not fail them, she whispered to herself each night, holding on to the small hope they had placed in her heart. And so Amara carried on, balancing the city's challenge with her village dreams, her spirit as strong as a young tree, swaying but unbroken. At first, Amara thought her new school was filled with kind faces, like her friend Lena, but soon she learned that not all faces were smiles. Some students, especially those with polished shoes and fancy clothes, began to notice that Amara dressed differently. She wore her simple Ankara dresses, each stitch a reminder of her village, her family, and her people. To her, they were clothes of pride, but to them, they looked strange and out of place. They began to whisper as she walked past, their voices sharp as stones. "Look at her," they murmured. "She's just a village girl." Some of the girls laughed behind her, covering their mouths with manicure hands. "Doesn't she know how to dress in this city?" Each word stung like a bee sting. Small but piercing, Amara tried to hold her head high, to ignore their laughter and hot words. She walked quickly, hoping that the day would end soon, hoping tomorrow would be better. But each day, the whispers grew louder. The laughter turned into taunts. They began calling her village girl as if it were her name, each word echoing in her mind. Some of the boys teased her too, nudging each other and smirking when they saw her in her simple clothes. They would block her path, their eyes cold. "Go back to where you came from," they snarled. "You don't belong here." Amara's heart grew heavy, her loneliness wrapped around her like a shadow that would not leave. But Amara was no stranger to hardship. She clenched her fists, reminding herself of the village that had trusted her, the people who had sent her with nothing but hope. Still, the burden grew heavier each day, and Amara began to wonder if the city would break her spirit. The once bright light in her eyes dimmed, as if the city's shadows were swallowing her whole. As time passed, Amara couldn't help but notice something odd about her friend Lena. Though Lena's family didn't have much, she always seems to have money, new shoes, snacks, and the latest dresses. Amara, who counted every coin and struggled to buy even the smallest things, found herself wondering. One afternoon, Amara looked at Lena, her curiosity finally spilling over. "Lena?" she asked, her voice gentle. "How do you manage to buy all these things? Where do you get the money from?" Lena only laughed, a quick, light sound, brushing the question away with a wave of her hand. "Ah, Amara, don't worry about it," she said, smiling. "Just a little hustle here and there, that's all, nothing else." But Amara's mind couldn't rest. She watched Lena disappear in the evenings, dressed up with a little more care, her eyes bright and secretive, and every time Amara's curiosity grew sharper like the edge of a knife. Amara tried asking Lena again, but her friend just laughed it off once more, saying, "One day you will understand, Amara." With that, she changed the subject, leaving Amara questions unanswered. Yet the mystery of Lena's hustle hung in Amara's mind like a shadow, making her wonder what life in the city might demand from her next. Days turned into weeks, and every now and then Amara would ask again, hoping her friend might reveal the secret. But each time Lena would laugh, shrugging it off as if it were a mystery meant to stay hidden. "Just enjoy, Amara," she would say. "Don't worry about how I make my money." But Amara couldn't ignore the thoughts nagging in the back of her mind. She was a shadow, a hint of something unknown, and it began to grow, spreading like a dark cloud. What was Lena hiding? And how was she managing to live so comfortably while Amara struggled alone? In the quiet moments where she tried to make sense of it all, the question followed her like an echo, a secret half-spoken, lingering in the silence. She couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something she couldn't see yet. Something hidden deep in the heart of the seed. Time slipped by like sand through her fingers, and Amara's small stash of money soon ran dry. The city's demands were endless, and each day her hunger gnawed at her, a sharp reminder that the little her village sent was never enough. Her stomach grew like a restless animal, the ache growing louder as her hope began to fade. She sits alone in her small room at night, a simple candle lighting her letters, "Mama, Papa," she wrote with trembling hands. "Things are hard here. I don't want to be a burden, but it's so different in the city." She sent the letters with the hope that her words would bring a bit more help. But Nayo was a poor village. They sent what they could, little parcels with dry fish or a few coins. Her mother's letters were filled with love and worry. But Amara knew her family was stretching themselves thin just to support her. This turned into long, hungry weeks. She could barely focus in class. Her mind drifted like smoke, too weak to keep her thoughts steady. Her stomach growled during lessons, each sound loud as a thunderclap. She tried to sit still, ignoring the laughter from her classmates. Amara knew she couldn't let the village down, but her spirit was breaking, slowly, piece by piece. Night grew colder, the city darker, and the weight of hardship pressed upon her like an invisible stone, heavy and unrelenting. And in the midst of it all, Lena's laughter echoed in her mind. The friend with easy money, a hidden secret, and no worries. Amara's heart twisted, caught between pride and the bitter taste of helplessness. One night, as she lay on her thin mattress, her stomach empty and aching, she reached a break point. She could no longer ignore the hunger clawing at her, a constant reminder of how hard life in the city had become. The next morning, with weary eyes and a heart heavy with shame, she found Lena outside the school. "Lena, please," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I need to know. Let me walk with you. Whatever it is, I can't keep living like this." Lena looked at her friend with a serious gaze, her smile fading as she realized how desperate Amara had become. "Amara," she began slowly, "are you sure? This isn't like other work. It's different." But Amara's eyes were resolute, her need too great to turn back now. "I don't care," she said firmly, her voice steadier than she felt. "Just show me. I have no choice." After a long silent pause, Lena finally nodded. She led Amara to a quiet corner where the city light cast faint shadows. "Listen, Amara," she said in a hushed tone. "This isn't something you share with anyone. It's a way to make money quickly, but it's not what she would expect." And there, Lena revealed the truth. Amara's heart skipped, her pulse quickened as she understood what her friend was saying. This wasn't the type of work she had imagined. It was something foreign, dangerous, something the villagers would never approve of. But worn down by hunger and hardship, Amara nodded with a word. "I will do it," she whispered, her voice quiet but determined. For the first time in months, she felt a savor of relief, though it was shadowed by a growing darkness in her heart. Her path was changing and she could feel it, but there was no turning back now. That night, Lena brought Amara a dress that shimmered like the stars, one that made her look almost like she belonged to the city itself. Lena painted her face with colors Amara had never worn before, and when she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized the girl staring back. "You look perfect," Lena said with a nod, her smile reassuring but distant. Amara followed her friend to a bar where the lights were bright and the music pounded like a heartbeat. The air was thick with laughter and chatter, strangers drifting from one table to the other. Lena guided her through it all, showing her how to walk, how to talk, how to laugh, and how to charm. Amara, nervous but determined, followed every step, every whisper of Lena's guiding words. As the night wore on, she found herself sitting with a man who handed her money, more than she had ever held in her life. She had spent time with him earlier, satisfying his desires in a private room. The coin slipped into her palm like gift from another world, their weight filling her with strange new feeling. She had come here with hunger in her heart, but now she felt something else, something close to excitement. When she left the bar that night, her pockets full, the city lights seemed brighter and her worried farther away. She spent freely, buying food and treats she had only dreamed of tasting. For a moment, she forgot everything, her village, her promises, the hope she had carried. All she knew was the thrill of her newfound life, a taste of freedom that felt as sweet as honey. Amara had stepped into a world that was dazzling and dangerous, a world that made her feel alive. She didn't know it then, but with each step she took, she was leaving behind the gold from Nayo village, the one they had sent with so much hope. One morning, Amara returned from the lavish home of a wealthy man she had been with the night before. Her body felt heavy, a deep ache settling into her bones, and her skin burned as though it were on fire. She brushed it up as a mid sickness. Just the exhaustion of flight night, she thought, and perhaps a touch of fever. She slipped into bed, hoping rest would ease the strange weakness that clung to her like a shadow. But when she woke up, the weakness was still there. Days passed as she grew more tired. With each one, her body slipping further from her control. Her friends noticed too. Their laughter turned to concern. They brought her food, medicine, anything they thought might help. But her strength continued to fade, like water slipping through her fingers. Then something stranger began to happen. Her belly started to swell. At first, she thought her eyes were playing tricks on her, but it grew rounder each day, hardening like a clay pot. Meanwhile, her arms and legs grew thin, frail as strings. The other girls whispered, their faces pale with fear. "It's like Ashiko," one muttered, shaking her head. But how? Amara ate more now than ever. Even she was frightened. She touched her swollen belly, pressing gently as if trying to understand the strange change. She felt her bones poking through her skin elsewhere, her cheeks hollowing, her eyes growing large and distant, yet her belly kept growing, as if she hid something darker than hunger. Her friends did all they could. They brought herbs, specialties, and medicine they had heard could cure almost anything. They watched over her, hoping each morning to see her sit up with a smile, her strength restored. But no matter what they tried, Amara only grew weaker. Her skin lost its glow, her hair grew dull, her once bright eyes now looked tired, heavy with a shadow no rest could lift. This turned into weeks, and soon her friends had exhausted every remedy they knew. The city doctors shook their heads. "There's nothing we can do," they said. Slowly, even her friends began to drift away, frightened by what they did not understand. Amara lay alone, feeling her life slip further and further away, like a river flowing beyond her reach. Desperate and terrified, the few who remained made a choice. "We must take her back to the village," they whispered, nodding with determination. They would return her to Nayo, the village that had once filled her heart with strength and hope. It was the only place left that might save her, the only place where a solution could be found. And so, with heavy hearts, they lifted Amara's frail, shrunken body, covered her with a blanket, and set off to Dumo. Her friends arrived in Dumo on a grey, misty morning, carrying her as gently as one would carry a fragile doll. The villagers who had eagerly awaited her return gathered around, their faces full of anticipation. For months they had dreamed of this day, imagining Amara returning as a grand symbol of the village's pride, a young woman transformed by the city, perhaps even wearing clothes that shone like the city lights. But what they saw left them silent, their hopes dropping like stones. Amara was hardly recognizable. Her once beautiful face was pale and hollow, her body frail and thin as if she hadn't eaten in weeks. Her belly was swollen and round, a twisted mockery of hurt. Her eyes held a dull, distant stare, lost in some invisible storm. The once vibrant girl who had left with the village dream now looked like a ghost returned from a dark place. Amara's friends, avoiding the villagers' questioning eyes, quickly explained that she had become sick, that city life had taken its toll. They did not say more, not a word about the life they had led her into. Each explanation was heavy, clipped and final. Without another glance, they turned and left, hurrying back to the world they knew, leaving Dumo and Amara's feet behind them. The villagers looked on in shock and sorrow, murmuring among themselves, confused and sadness blending in their voices. This is not Amara," someone whispered, hardly able to believe the sight. Her parents stepped forward, trembling, and knelt beside her frail figure. tears welling in their eyes. They had sent a young, strong girl with dreams as wide as the sky, and now before them lay only a shadow of that same child, broken, weak, and silent. And so the village gathered around her in silence, each person grappling with disbelief and grief. Amara lay on a woven mat in the village square, surrounded by familiar faces, each one heavy with concern. Her frail body shivered as she looked around, seeing the warmth and sadness in the eyes of the people who had once sent her to the city with so much hope. With trembling lips, she spoke, her voice bearing a whisper, but carrying the weight of 1,000 regrets. Life in the city was hard, she began, her eyes fixed on the ground. The money you sent, it was never enough. I tried to manage, I tried, but hunger became my constant shadow. Her voice cracked as she continued, each words cutting her like a knife. I met a friend, Lena, who showed me a way to survive, but it was a path I never should have taken. I forgot my purpose, I forgot the ones who believed in me. I chose the wrong path. As her confession filled the air, the villagers listened, their faces a mix of sorrow and understanding. Tears slipped down her cheeks, each one glittering like falling hopes. I have disgraced you all, she whispered, and brought shame to my family, to our village. The elders stepped forward, their faces stern but their eyes soft with the wisdom of the years. The oldest among them, Elder Kanu, placed a gentle hand on Amara's head. His voice was deep and steady as he spoke. What you suffered now is not just illness, Amara. This is no simple illness. You are with child, conceived out of marriage. This is the cause of our village tradition, a punishment for breaking the sacred bond. The villagers murmured softly, nodding in understanding. Amara's swollen belly, her weakling body, it was all part of the ancient consequence, one known to every girl and boy raised in Nayo. The tradition was clear. If a young woman fell pregnant outside of wedlock, her body would suffer and her spirit would weaken as a reminder of the village honor and values. But Elder Kano continued, his voice steady and calm. There is a cure. The village has seen such sorrow before, and we know the ways of healing. The path back to health will not be easy, but if you are willing, you can be whole again. Amara looked up at the elders, her eyes brimming with both hope and shame. She nodded, grateful for the chance to make amends, for the understanding in their eyes. The villagers gathered around her, their hearts softened with compassion, ready to help her find her way back. The herbalists came forward, whispering prayers as they prepared herbs and potions. Their hands moved gently, with the care one would give to a delicate flower. Each day, they applied roots and leaves, soaked in special oils, massaging her swollen belly, whispering words of healing to guide her spirit back to strength. Amara lay still, trusting them, feeling warmth return to her bones like sunlight after a long storm. Slowly her strength returned, her frail body filling out, her eyes regaining the light they once hid. She began to care for herself, eating the nourishing meals her mother prepared and listening to the advice of the elder women on how to stand to the growing life within her. They taught her how to cradle her belly with love and respect, how to speak softly to her unborn child, how to make peace with the past that had brought her back home. Months passed, and the family had finally came under the moonlight night. Amara gave birth to a baby boy. His cries filled the air like a song of a new beginning. The villagers gathered, offering blessings and prayers for the child's future. Amara hid him close, his eyes, his small face, a reminder of all she had endured and the promise of all she would become. She named him Nilo, meaning joy has come home. For he was not only her son, but also her redemption. As the reasons changed, Amara grew determined to finish what she had once set out to do. With her son in her arms, she vowed to return to school, this time with a renewed spirit and a heart full of purpose. Her days were long, balancing studies with motherhood. She did not waver. She worked tirelessly, each small victory a step towards the life her village had once dreamed for her. Years passed and Amara's hard work bore fruit. She became a respected woman, known not only for her intelligence, but also for her strength and resilience. When she finally returned to Nayo, it was not as a lost soul, but as a woman who had overcome her trials. The village celebrated her. They honored her courage, her strength, and wisdom she had gained through hardship. They no longer saw her as a girl who had strayed, but as a woman who had learned, endured, and grown. Amara's story became a tale passed down from one generation to the next, a reminder of the importance of courage, resilience, and second chances. The village, once quiet and simple, now carried her story like a precious gem, a lesson to all young ones who would one day follow her own path. And as the years went by, the people of Dumo spoke her name with pride. Amara had become the symbol of hopes and dreams, a beacon of the strength that lived in every heart. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, please like this video, share what you learned in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel, Wisdom Stories, for more enchanting tales like this one. Thank you for watching. Remain blessed till I come your way next time. Bye for now. Bye.